Hey everybody, thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Um, Tonight, Ben's joining me here. How's it going, Ben?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
It's good. Hey Cat Eyes, hey Smashley, hey Sabi, hey Exile, hey Penny, hey Bryden, hey Sabrina, hey everybody. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. So Ben, why don't you start from the beginning, if you don't mind?
Sure. We have to go back quite a while. I guess it's not too terrible to date myself. Yeah, I was born in 1979 in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Um, and I don't know how much detail you want or what all you'd like to hear, but
Whatever you're comfortable with.
sure, sure. So grew up in the '80s. It was a much different time.
Yeah, it
um,
was.
I think about some of the stuff that that's just culturally when you look at what's on TV and the sort of things that are out there now. It's sorry, I got some feedback. Are you getting that?
Yeah, a little bit on your end.
I think
I,
it
I,
was.
I I can hear you clearly though.
Yeah, I had the cell phone thing going. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Um, but yeah, but in some senses, a lot of things were still there, but just kind of in the dark,
Yeah.
and and that was sort of, I guess, my experience. By all, I suppose, outward experiences, I had a pretty decent childhood. I did have really great parents. I think the one thing that maybe not through any oversight of their own or anything, but maybe they didn't have the most open environment, or I guess foster environment where as kids would have felt comfortable bringing something to them. And so those were some of the things that I didn't go to them about. It's starting when I was first became a child sex abuse victim when I was 8 years old, and it was happened to be the first time my mom's mom, my grandmother. Um, so that was kind of a situation, like, it's tough. How do you go to the person and tell them that their mother, but so I just didn't. Um, Never said anything about it, and I guess I just sort of tried to memory hold it, if you will.
Yeah.
And but I can say that from a very early age, I suffered from depression. That I've been aware of my whole life. I suppose getting into sort of clinical diagnoses and things later on. I've PTSD for sure. I actually just watched a really interesting video on Bryden's channel earlier today about ADHD and its sort of correlation with childhood trauma. Um, and I actually left a comment on the video, and I just say, this is crazy. Like the first 3 minutes in, and I'm like, everything he's talking about, yep, that's me. Um,
Yeah,
so,
you've been pumping out good videos lately.
oh, absolutely, yeah, that's definitely a new favorite channel. There's so much stuff out there, and some of these things, I'm like, wow, how haven't I been here yet? But glad to be there now. Glad to be here now as well.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Can someone drop Brian's link to his channel, please? Continue, please. Yeah, I'm sorry that's happened to you too. By the way, I couldn't imagine going through something like that.
Yeah, and like I said, I just sort of, and even now, and being at as young an age as I was, I really only have a couple sort of distinct recollections of what even occurred.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty young age to go through something like that. And then of course that wasn't the end though. 2 years later, then I was actually abused by my older brother at 10 years old, and he was about 18 at the time. Um, and that one definitely my was brain was more developed. I was older, so I definitely have stronger memories of that. And Fortunately, that was just a one-time thing. But yeah, those kind of things just, and then looking back on things, really kind of altered the rest of my developmental years through junior high, high school. The rest, everybody else, the other kids were doing fine, and I was the one that was getting in trouble. And nobody knew why. And why do you do these things? Why do you do drugs? Why do you drink? Why do you, sneak out at night? Why do you hang out with these types of people? Why do you do these kinds of activities? And nobody could ever really figure it out, And then once I was on my own, well, I guess things really only got worse. But I'm kind of I've been somewhat of a high functioning type of victim, or that somebody that's been through trauma. Some people completely shut down and can't do anything. I was a little bit different. I ended up joining the military. Joined the Marine Corps, spent 4 years. I did deploy to Kuwait and Iraq. And of course, you want to add more PTSD to another problem and compound things. That's a good way to do it. So I spent 4 years there. Got out and then went to culinary school, and then I actually opened a restaurant. Ran that. Nice. Yep, ran that for about 4 years. And about that time, I'd say when I was about 34, 35, that's when things kind of started to sort of really begin to fall apart. And to be quite honest, to this day, I'm like a major work in progress.
Aren't we all?
I didn't really have anybody to talk to about this stuff. And again, I had still never even said anything to my family. The only one that knew was my older brother. Until about just a little over 2 years ago, I finally kind of let my mom know what had been going on, and her initial response was, "Those are lies."
So she was in denial?
I think it was extremely shocking for her to find out, that 30 years ago that her mother and her oldest son did that to me. I will. It hurt, that initial response, but she's been there for me 100%. So I don't want to paint my mom in a bad light. I think she was just shocked by it. Her and my dad both have been very supportive. I think they kind of don't know what to do other than just sort of be there. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was just a couple years ago, and then the last couple of years, I've just been kind of sort of fumbling around and trying to figure out what's next, I've lashed out at times. I've suffered again from drinking, and not drugs so much, but I've been a pretty heavy drinker for many, many years. Been charged with DUI 4 times and convicted 3.
Oh, jeez.
It's been 10 years since my last one, so I guess I'm maybe doing a little bit better. I don't know.
Do you still drink or no?
I do, but it's kind of strange because I'll go like days and days without, and then I'll have a bad day, and then I make it worse.
Sorry to hear that.
So yeah, that's why I say just still a major sort of work in progress, But this past summer, a friend of mine sent me a link to a video on Facebook, and it was the group Bikers Against Predators, and they sent it to me because it was a catch of a guy that I don't want to say I really knew him, but I was acquainted with him. He was friends with, we had mutual friends, I guess you could say, from when I lived in Ohio, and they caught him and he ran, and it was crazy. I mean, the guy actually was currently on house arrest for another case that he was just waiting for sentencing. He'd already been convicted of actually molesting an actual child.
Oh my God.
Or I don't know. I think it was worse than molesting. I mean, it was a very, very serious charge. He was facing prison time, and he cut his ankle monitor off and went to Indiana to do it again. And that time he got caught. And the prosecutor was actually going to kind of slap him on the wrist, but after that Bikers Against Predators catch, they kind of threw the book at him. He wound up getting, like, I think it was 10 or 12 years, whatever was the max statutorily that Ohio could give him, which Ohio needs a lot of work in their laws. But and so that was really eye-opening for me, and it kind of opened me up. I started digging around, and And that's kind of what led me to where I'm sitting here today talking to you.
Man, like I don't know what to say to that. You lived a very, I believe, traumatic life. I would use like with the drinking, it's understandable. Like you've been through so much, and
Yes,
use that as a coping mechanism,
it's kind of like trying to numb things, I guess,
numb the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there, not what you've been through, but like in other situations, and I would always use booze as to numb the pain. Like,
Yeah, for
um, did your brother ever take like accountability or your grandmother for what they did, or?
sure. My grandmother passed away actually while I was in the Marine Corps back in 2002, I believe it was. I don't know. Didn't really matter to me. I didn't go. They whatever, they granted me emergency leave to go back. To be with family. I said, nah, I'll stay here. Why don't you put me on duty? Actually. So I didn't go. I didn't say anything at the time. I just told my mom, hey, I can't make it. Whatever. It's pretty plausible reason when you're in the military.
Yeah.
Um, so as far as my older brother, that's another story.
Hmm.
I it's really crazy because obviously, I have actually been in contact with him over the years. Never ever have we been close, ever, for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
He's got 3 kids of his own. They're all now grown, and one's graduated college, 2 are in college. And the worst was actually about 6. I'm trying to think. It was 6, 7 years ago. I was in DC. I ended up in a kind of a major surgery, a spinal surgery at the Walter Reed Military Hospital, and and my parents were there with me. I'd been on vacation with them and been dealing with this pain for a long time, and finally, yeah, they did an MRI and said, yeah, this isn't going to work out, so we need to get you into surgery like immediately. So it was the next day, and my parents hung out with me for about 3 or 4 days after that, most of the time while I was in the hospital. And then my last day in the hospital, they had to go back home. And I didn't really have any way. I had drove there with them. I didn't have any way to, and I was after surgery when they saw out part of your spine and bolts and screws and plates and all kinds of stuff. I had to wear a collar. I couldn't really do much for myself. So guess who showed up to save the day?
Your brother?
Yeah. Um, Luckily, it was really just an afternoon and then boarding a flight. And then by the time, I got the flight went from DC to Chicago, and then I had my girlfriend pick me up, and
Hmm.
girlfriend at the time, I should say, not anymore. But
Yeah.
oh, that's a whole nother story there. The relationship issues we probably got. But anyhow, so yeah, that was the only time I really ever had to spend any length of time with him alone. And, it was really just focused on just getting me home, I guess, helping me into cars and things like that. I didn't say anything at the time. I was dealing with enough, and I wasn't in any position to, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
get into those kind of issues. I did, however, later. Once I found out that he was elected on the school board in his town,
Really?
and it really just kind of grossed me out. I'm like, what are you? And then I started researching. I watched a lot of the school board meetings actually for his district. Why would I watch a school board in another place? Well, because I think they got a creep on their board. And he was doing creepy stuff. I don't. I realize this isn't a political forum here, but he was getting into a lot of the sort of crazy madness stuff that's going on in schools with CRT, critical race theory, and also getting into this gender identity. It's nonsense. I believe it's nonsense.
Oh, it is.
Trying to usher that into schools, and they were doing all of this behind the backs of parents with these weird surveys they were giving kids, and they weren't allowed to tell their parents that they were even taking the survey, and all this weird stuff. And then there, some of the parent groups had done some FOIA requests and gotten some of the internal emails and stuff. And there it is. I mean, black and white. Yeah. How can we get around this? And they were trying to find every way to skirt the law and keep parents in the dark. And I just got more and more grossed out by it,
and rightfully so.
Yeah. And then, even to the point of, they began by limiting public speech at their meetings, and then because obviously the parents, especially once they found out all the backdoor stuff to try and hide things from them, the parents group started to get very vocal in the meetings. Like, I'm sure you've probably seen videos of school board meetings gone awry. And that was beginning to happen to them. So then he was the school board chair, actually, and was instrumental in limiting the public speech. First they cut off the cameras for the live feeds, and it was audio only. And then they went to completely eliminating the speech, and then they got sued. I don't know if they got sued. I don't know. It's been a big, huge thing. But he was running for re-election, and I wasn't having it. And I reached out to the parents groups, and I just kind of let them know what was going on. And I did some public comments that were removed. The people that ran the groups felt like they had to, they couldn't have unvetted statements out there or whatever. I spoke to a couple of local news organizations, and I suppose the pressure campaign worked, because he did not end up running for that re-election, dropped out, and is no longer on the school board. So I feel that's at least something that I could affect in a positive way. Did it make me feel better? No, not really. I'm glad that, he's not on the board anymore, and hopefully that helps in some small way. But there's probably just another one coming along that'll do similar things. But
yeah,
he tried to reach out to me a couple times with text message and this and that, and I just said, you know what, don't talk to me. I have nothing to say to you. It's not going to happen. And that's kind of where that sits now.
Like, by you getting him off the school board like that, you won. So,
well, I think, yeah, in some small way, but he's still out there. He's really, maybe that's in some way a way that he had to pay for what he did.
Yeah.
But I worried about, who else might he have hurt, along the way. I don't know,
That's true.
I don't think there's too many like one-time offenders out there,
Mm-hmm. Can you read Penny's comment there, or?
Yeah, I do see it. Just now, actually. Yeah, thanks, Penny. I appreciate that. I'm trying to glance at the comments on my phone too here, and I see Smashley said something. Thank you, Smashley, as well.
And Bryden. And then Julie.
Yeah, Abby, Julie, yeah, Justine. Thank you, everybody, so much. I'm glad that you're all here.
So you got a lot of support there, Ben. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Obviously this community has its share of nutcases. I'm one of them too, so I can't really knock them too bad, But there's definitely a lot of support. I've talked with several people, and it's kind of sort of given me the motivation or strength or sort of the impetus to actually do something. Like I say, I was just running full speed for so long as a business owner, and in the military, and just doing all the different, I was in pretty my last decent job actually was a pretty high paying. I was doing sales, I was in the solar industry. And then, like I say, a couple of years ago, it all kind of fell apart. And so I really, through this, a lot of folks that I've spoken with, and this community, it's kind of given me this sort of push to actually make some changes. I actually had a call this afternoon, email with the, that's another problem. My healthcare is all through the VA, and I don't know if anybody knows about the VA, but it's not exactly the best. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody, but it's what I got. At the end of the day, I've had good care. It's just jumping through the hoops and everything. So I
Mhm.
actually was emailing with the community care board today because I don't trust the VA mental health department at all. I've had very bad experiences with them in the past, which has actually led me, one of the reasons why I haven't really sought any treatment for so long. And yeah, 502 SC. I really hope so. That's why I'm doing this. I was on a few months ago with PCM on a live forum that they did as well. Same reason then, I'm just one guy, but if my story, or if hearing what I've gone through, even just to let you know that somebody else is going through it too, or maybe give you the strength to speak out, let people know what's going on, or seek help. That's what it's about.
And make sure that they're not alone,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's big. I live by myself. I'm in a town where I don't really know anybody, and I work from home, so I'm like I've been extremely isolated for about a year and a half, 2 years now.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, I was just emailing today to get a non VA therapist to work with. So we'll see how that goes. I put my request in. I don't anticipate hearing anything back immediately. Everything takes time, but again, that's why I say it's definitely a work in progress over here. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jenny, no lie about that, Jenny T. It's disgraceful, I think, actually, and I don't think that the healthcare workers themselves in the VA, the doctors seem to be fine for the most part. The nurses I've dealt with are great. It's just all the bureaucracy, and then the lower level employees that really have no, I don't know. There's no pep in their step, I guess. You know what I mean? It just, everything drags. And I have heard about people who've had really bad care as well. Like I say, I've been fortunate for the most part. But they did ignore my MRI for like 2 years for my surgery. So it's a joke. But yeah, don't have support for the mental health that they need. Yeah, the mental health department, I had terrible experiences with the VA on that. I I went in there one time and discussed, just kind of what was going on. It was a really bad time, and they, of course, people always ask if you have thoughts of harming yourself or anything like that, and I said that yeah, I did actually.
Mhm.
And I spent the next 4 hours by myself, no cell phone, in a prison jumpsuit in a rubber padded room, waiting for somebody to come. Literally, nobody came for 4 hours. Um,
Oh, gosh.
you want to talk about further traumatizing a trauma victim, somebody that's suffering from PTSD on multiple fronts. Yeah, just take everything from them, put them in a jumpsuit, and throw them in a room. That's a great idea.
It
Um,
just adds more to the traumas, like being traumatized there.
well, what it did was make me never seek the VA for mental health care again.
Mhm.
That was the VA in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I'll never forgive him for that. And I'm not the only one that's had those kind of experiences. You've probably heard the story of the veteran who sadly killed himself in the VA parking lot. Um, I think he was probably trying to make a point. I considered doing it myself several times, actually. I will say, just for anybody, if anybody's worried about me now, I do not have suicidal ideations anymore. I still deal with depression. I still deal with PTSD, all these different things.
Mhm.
One thing I can say that I did that was very beneficial was about 3 years ago. On the recommendation of a friend, I looked into something called ketamine infusion therapy,
Mhm.
and I underwent a process. It was several weeks, and then I did a few follow up visits, spaced out 3 months or 3 weeks, and then 3 months, and altogether, I mean, it it definitely, at the time, I was doing much better. And they say that a lot of the longer term effects can wear off without. But bottom line is, I can't afford it. The VA won't pay for it. It cost me nearly $6,000 out of pocket to do those treatments.
Mhm.
Uh, at the time, like I say, I could afford it, so I did. But yeah, I recommend it if you can afford it.
Um, you said you still deal with depression?
Oh, daily, yeah.
Yeah, same here. Like, what do you do to combat it?
Nothing.
Oh no.
I mean, I don't know what to do. Excuse me. I don't really know what to do. If I can get myself very busy, um, sometimes that helps. But most of the time, I don't really have a lot of motivation to do anything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I actually, it was funny. Last week, I did not leave my house for 5 days, literally, even to go to the mailbox.
Oh my gosh.
Um, it yeah. So that's why I try and look for things to do. But again, when you don't have any motivation to do them, so that's again something I'm hoping to be doing better with before too long. I do,
Yeah,
Ray. In fact, I think I already followed you on there. I'll send you a DM.
yeah. Do you find being in the community though, like, gets your mind off of the like being depressed and all that, or no?
Yeah, I do. At times, yeah. I mean, I do still. I do still deal with it though. I mean, it's depression is the one thing I've never been able to shake my entire life, even with the ketamine therapy. And like I said, it helped for a while, and it did. I've
Hmm.
had no suicidal thoughts since I did that treatment. So I saw somebody else had mentioned that they maybe had not such a good experience with the ketamine therapy, but it's not for everybody. I agree. I didn't like the treatment process itself. I don't know why anybody would ever use it as a recreational drug. I did not care for the treatments themselves, but I did like the after effects. Um, but I kind of lost my train of thought there. Oh, the depression. Yeah, that's like I say, that's been lifelong. And really, when I think back to it, when did I start becoming a depressed person? And it really goes back to childhood when I was 8 to 10 years old.
Um, Savvy asked, like, what does depression feel like? It turns you into something that you're not, basically. Would you agree with that, or?
Oh, absolutely. I was going to let you answer it first. Yeah, for me, it's basically misery. I mean, you have no interest in things. Everything sucks. Food doesn't taste good. I mean, even down to little things. Um, yeah, you don't feel happy about things. You don't smile. Seldom laugh.
Yeah, like you could be surrounded by 100 people and still feel alone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Can you read Smashley's comment?
Yeah, email me. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Smashy will do. Thank you.
Oh, great. It's like I'm not 100% sure been this fake catcher.
Now,
That's
see,
all I'm
I mentioned about not laughing very often. I do laugh frequently at Ray, though.
Yeah, Ray's a good dude. Matt's like, I want to do ketamine therapy. It's very expensive. I couldn't afford it at the time. I had the opportunity. I'll be honest. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, for where I went to was in Houston, Texas, and it cost at the time like about $400 per treatment for about 45-minute infusion, but you're not allowed to drive there because afterwards you're all loopy for a few hours. So I had to take 45-minute Uber rides each way. So it ended up costing me like 550, $600 per visit.
Oh my god. Uh, John's like, depression's a life sentence, even when you are in a place that you should be happy. He's
Yeah,
absolutely right.
absolutely 502. I live in like what I consider paradise basically. I moved to Florida a couple years ago, and I believe me, I absolutely love where I live. Unfortunately, a lot of days I don't get outside to enjoy it. I live like not even a mile from the beach. It's amazing. but I don't enjoy it as much as I should.
Ray's like, I never don't feel alone. Making others laugh or feel less alone gives me relief from depression.
Others laugh or feel less. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Alex, like, oh, go ahead.
yeah. I found myself spending a lot of time. Uh, I've been on some panels before. The late night panels. You might have heard me even a little drunk on a couple of those a couple times. But
Um,
with Log and some of those guys.
yeah, I seen you on Locks once, and then you were on mine last time. I think it's only 2 times I've seen you, so you could have been on more. So
Yeah,
more
I've been
times.
on a few. I've been on Webb's channel a couple times. Where else have I been? Been on a few, but um, yeah, I do find myself spending a lot of time in the community. I love watching Preds get caught. I was telling Terrence before we came on. I was watching Alex live right before we started here, and I was just hoping the cops would show up in time so I could see the guy get busted before I came on, and they did show up right at the end, but it took them an hour to get there.
They usually do.
Oh yeah.
Um, when did you get into the community?
So it would have been really my friend sent me that link to the Bikers Against Predators video back in June.
Hmm.
Prior to that, I mean, I knew who Chris Hansen was. I didn't know that he scammed all his fans, so I found out about that only recently, actually.
Yeah, I
Um,
did too.
but so I remember watching that show years ago, and then it kind of went away, and I didn't ever hear much more about it until that catch. And then, like I say, once I saw that, thanks, Bat Mom, good to see you out there. But once I saw that catch, I started sort of digging in, and that's when I started to find all kinds of people. And of course, everybody has their favorites, certain styles they like or whatever. I've even said before that even for catchers I don't personally care for, I'm glad as long as they're catching Preds.
Mhm. Who's your favorite catcher? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, I gotta say, it's kind of evolved, but I gotta say I've become a very, very big fan of Alex Rosen. Really.
Yeah, he's one of the best, if not the best.
I mean, just his interview style alone, and I've told him this actually. He would be an excellent salesman, because it's and really his style does remind me a lot of the things that I learned in sales. When I was doing solar, I mean, I was selling $60,000-$70,000 deals. You don't do that in 5 minutes, and you
Mhm.
don't do it by taking no for an answer or letting the other person control the environment. And he's excellent at that. I think of the one he actually just released it on his locals channel today, but there was this kidnapper bread catch from a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
and this guy was just not having any of it, and got in his truck and took off. And Alex got on the phone and actually got him to come back, and just that sort of tenacity and sticking with it, and then it gets into a lot of the cop techniques, the good cop, befriending people, making them minimizing the impact of what they did in order to get them to loosen up and speak. And yeah, I just really love that style, and I've become a very big fan of his. Not to say that I don't have others that are close. I do love Mr. Webb as well. I've been following him for quite a while, and inevitably I'm going to leave out a name or two that I also love. So just know that I love you all, catchers.
Yeah. Can you read a Penny's comment there? Or?
Yeah, I was just reading it actually, and that's true, because even in times where I have done better, I haven't lived every single day of my life in absolute dire misery. I mean, I've had good ups and downs and good moments. But yeah, even in times when things are going well, yeah, it just all of a sudden, and one day you wake up and it's like, damn, I'm here again.
Yeah. Uh, Bill's like, sometimes the only reason I stream is to bullshit people to forget how I really feel. Mm, I could totally see that. like depression, I've been depressed for years, so I just accepted it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what have you done to sort of to try and mitigate that?
For years I would always use booze,
Yeah.
but I realized I was wrong for doing that. I was wrong. It wasn't right.
Hmm.
So I just I try to get my mind off it by doing other things to keep myself occupied, you
Sure.
know. But
Yeah.
you, and you just accepted it, or
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like I say, I tried years ago, had some to, either seek some treatment, therapy, whatever. Had terrible experiences. When I was in Houston and I was getting to the point where I was getting real suicidal. I'd just gone through really rough breakup, and any little thing. Not to say that breakups are ever easy, but if you're a type of person that's suffers from depression or PTSD or kind of suicidal thoughts, anything like that is just becomes yeah, a total showstopper. So um, but I went many years without doing anything, and just dealing with it, just being busy, just trying to keep pushing forward, and until I got to the point where it's like, what's my purpose even? What am I even doing?
exactly, um, like even too, like you burn a lot of bridges when you don't mean to,
Yeah.
you know. Just it's not a good feeling overall, you
No.
know. But I find being here, it gets my mind off it at times, but it doesn't always work. Tatiana's like, I do my paintings to keep from that dark place, but unfortunately, that is coming to an end because my sight is going and being able to grab the brushes too.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I'm not sure how to say your name there. I'm just gonna say Simone because I know how to say that one.
Oh, Tatiana.
Okay. Um, but yeah, no, I've considered getting into. I have some hobbies I'm interested in. I just haven't
Mhm.
got myself to a point where I have the motivation to even do it.
Yeah. Um,
And I see what Bryden's saying there too. Yeah, I have been taking my time. The VA unfortunately only gave me about 5 options, and at this point, only one of them even does in-person therapy. I have no interest in like Zoom call therapy. That just I'm just not interested in it. Um, so there's really only one, and I'm going to try it out. And if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna try whoever whatever else I can do, even if I have to drive to another town over or something. But yeah, I know what Bryden's saying is true. It's not always a good fit with whatever therapist you may have.
mhm. um, wishes depression doesn't have to define who you are as a person. You just have to be transparent when you are having those thoughts and allow someone to help you. It's just a talk.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think for a lot of us, the tendency is to, like I said, to isolate. Maybe not everybody does that, but I do to a great degree. Like I said, I didn't even leave the house for 5 days. I mean,
Mhm.
it's pretty extreme. I think I don't know too many people that do that.
Yeah, like having those dark thoughts cross your mind, like that you want to end it. It's extremely scary.
Mm.
Like
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
uh, um, yeah, that's happened to me a few times. Like I tried to drink myself to death and it didn't work. You know.
Right. Yeah. Back before I had um, the ketamine therapy, I still owned guns, and I got to tell you, well, I lived in Houston. You can't live in Houston without a gun. I carried it concealed everywhere I went. I mean, it's the most dangerous place I ever lived in my life. But uh, but I actually did get rid of it. I got rid of my
Mhm.
handgun after a while, just because I was like, I'd have it sitting on a table in front of me. And yeah, it's not a good thing, not a good place to be.
Exactly. Um. So what's how many you, how long have you been watching Alex for?
So I first came across him back in probably July, and it was really hard to even find it. I was like, "Who is this guy?" You know, because all the channels were getting cut down and he shut down. You know, he had like, I was like, it was your boy JDQ. I was like, "Who's JDQ? This looks like that Gordon Flowers guy," you know.
Yeah.
And then I saw Puggy Pug, and then there was a Gordon Flowers channel, and I was like, well, these are all the same. What's going on here? And of course, you know, being new to what was going on with YouTube and everything, I didn't know, you know, and I've of course learned what's been going on since then. But yeah, probably since about July or so.
So okay, so you're fairly new then
Oh
to
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's only been, you know, 7 months or so that I've kind of been around.
Yeah. How do you like being in community though? Or village, I should
Overall,
say.
I've had pretty much positive interactions across the board. You know, there's a lot of great people here. 502, I see you, man. I'm sorry if you've ever been there too. Um, yeah, pretty much positive interactions overall. You know, like I say, of course, there are some weirdos that get into you know, chats and things like that. I'm like I say, I'm probably a weirdo too. I don't judge anyone, but some people can be aggressive. The one thing that I don't really like and I don't have time for is the sort of self-destructive community behavior where it's tearing down this person or that person. You know, now people that have legitimate beefs, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to delve into it too much. You know, like I said, even people that aren't my favorites, you know, I still support what they do. You know, I may not like their methods or whatever, but again, if they're getting creeps off the street, I support them. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been watching Alex for almost 3 years now.
There's now it would have been probably, I think, even maybe you didn't notice the transformation as much being there all along, but when I see early Alex catches to now, it's like, man, he's really developed and improved over the years.
Oh yeah, he matured quickly.
Yeah, that's why all his hair's falling out from looking at dick pics all day.
But no, I'll be honest though, like part of me misses the way he was before. You know, like when he would just totally rip into the Preds like that.
He was a kid.
Yeah, but those catches were funny though.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, with the Rumble catches, this is why you got to get your Rumble figured out, because I mean, they were definitely roasting this guy today. They had this Pred was very compliant, and he had the Pred like plugging the locals channel. Everybody go join locals. Oh yeah, and even having the Pred read comments from the chat. I mean, it was crazy.
Nice. Um,
Nothing was abusive. I mean, it was all consensual, and it wasn't like having the guy, you know, do anything. It wasn't sick, you know. It was just funny, you know. But it's something that obviously would probably never fly on this platform.
yeah. Um, so overall, you like being here? Like you have a good experience and all that?
Yeah, overall, absolutely. And in fact, just for opportunities like this, to speak with you and others like yourself that are doing these kind of forums and panels and give me an opportunity to speak and again, hopefully be able to help somebody, you know, and that's really what it's about for me.
Um, can you read Lisa's comment there?
That's great, Lisa. I'm so glad to hear that. And Lisa is somebody that I've definitely spoken with before, definitely in the Mr. Web chats, and I think we're even friends on Instagram. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Lisa, great to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope your story does reach out to someone and helps them in some sort of way. You know,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different elements to it, you know, and so I think that even if not everybody had the same experiences, probably you could pick one or two things out of that I've been through, and there's so much more too. I gave a sort of I don't know, a pretty quick rundown. You know, I haven't even gotten into. Gosh, there's been so much more. You know, I was trying to just kind of. I didn't write an outline or anything. I just kind of shot from the hip here.
when you want to get into it, or
Yeah, I mean,
if you're comfortable enough.
yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think what I would even, I mean, when you talk about really dark times, I mentioned the DUIs,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that was really bad, I mean, to get that many, and that was all in about probably about a 3 to 4 year span. It was like every year I was getting popped again.
Yeah.
It's a thousand wonders I didn't ever have to do any prison time, to be honest.
Mhm.
Uh, but if you pay expensive enough lawyers, they can do pretty magical things.
Yeah. Thank you, Vlad. Appreciate it. And Vlad says wants to thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Vlad. You're welcome. And again, it's really great to get some positive feedback. Glad I can help people.
Uh, Jules is like, Ben, I don't know if we're friends on IG, but I love to chat more with you. I adore
Yeah,
your personality and your energy, and Alex's chats too, by the way.
yeah. Jules, yeah, that'd be great. I don't know what your Instagram is. Mine is under not my YouTube name. It's under my real name. I prefer to use this name exclusively on YouTube because there's, as you all know, there's a lot of lurkers out there that aren't here for good reasons.
Well, I could send her your IG after if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you've got her on there, please do.
Yeah. Um, you want to get into anything else that you haven't said yet, or
I'm just trying to think of what else I could even or if anybody, if you, Terrence, or if anybody else had any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of those too.
um, well,
No, thanks,
with your
Brett. I appreciate that. Different lives we've been on. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, I kind of enjoy getting to the chat sometimes because uh, I don't know. I am fairly opinionated, especially when it comes to seeing Preds get caught. Sometimes I think I'm even kind of funny, but it's fun.
yeah. Um, do you no? Do you still drink or no?
Yeah, currently I haven't put that one away yet.
Um,
I mean, not currently, right now.
yeah. Do you want to quit? Obviously, you do, right?
I yes and no. I want to be in control, and I know that sounds like something an addict says. I've been to AA meetings. That's not something I don't think that would ever work for me. Um, um, but I'd rather just be able to be in control, and I think that um, I don't know if that's possible. I don't really know.
You, you have it in you to quit if you want to, And as
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure I could. Yeah.
yeah, as a fake catcher content says, one step at a time.
Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, too, though, like you're drinking just to, as you said earlier, to numb the pain. Like I've been there, not what you've been through, but in other situations in my life, and I always would turn to the booze just to numb it,
Right.
you know.
Like,
But
I'd like to be able to be social. I'd like to be able to, to not be inebriated. I'd like to be able to not guzzle a half a bottle of vodka in 20 minutes.
yeah, like if you do want to quit, like you could always let me know. I can tell you, like, I could help you, encourage you to quit if you want.
I appreciate that. Well, I'm glad that we've connected, and there's a fairly decent chance I'd say that I will reach out to you about that.
And appreciate it. Like it doesn't solve anything. You think it does, but it doesn't.
Oh, I do know that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, what's your favorite catch that you've seen from Alex?
Favorite catch from Alex. Gosh. There's so many. I'm trying to, trying to kind of pin down one that's really memorable. There was one actually, and I don't hear many people talk about it. I guess it sticks out to me because it was in an area where I used to live. Actually, he did one in Napoleon, Ohio,
Mhm.
and it was in this really trashy motel.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Um,
They started out in like some storage room of this hotel, and there's just a bunch of like chairs and tables and junk. And the guy had CP all over his phone. And then it went outside, and the manager of the hotel kept trying to shut it down, and but Alex just wouldn't give up, like he always does.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, that one I guess that's up there on the list. Yeah, I'm not sure what would you say?
The Jamie catch.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't want to name an obvious one because I'm sure everybody loves that one.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that being your favorite. It's funny actually because that's Nebraska and that's where I grew up. Although that was hours and hours away from where I lived, though.
Yeah. Alex personally likes the dark web catch now. I still think the Jamie one's better.
The dark web, is that the guy? It was fairly recent, wasn't it?
Um,
Yeah, it was the guy that
Earlier in the year, I believe earlier in the year.
and broke down bawling on the phone with his fiance or wife, or I think it was his fiance or something.
Fiance, yeah, and he's the one that basically took down Alex's PP official channel.
Oh, was he really? Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that was a great catch too. I agree 100%. I haven't had a chance to check out. Well, obviously the kidnapper Fred just got dropped. There's not going to be much video, but I am very interested to hear what was said in that truck.
Yeah. Just watching him like conduct the interviews with the Preds, it's very, very educational. Actually, it is educational.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I love it too when Alex goes with Ghost, and the two of them just go after Preds.
Yeah, yeah.
You ever watch any of Ghost's catches?
I have, yeah. I've gotten into watching more lately. He's another one that's I think has improved. He's got a massive following. I don't know if he just has. I don't know what it is, but he's got a massive following for sure. But yeah, I've watched some of his as well. There's one that I always mention just because a lot of people don't know who he is. He used to have about 20 catches on his YouTube channel. He also has a Rumble, but he hasn't done much with it. And he's got an Instagram too, but he goes by a name EYLP. Expose your local pedophile.
I never heard of him. I know probably someone
You
like
sh- you
Brian
sh-
might have heard of him.
you should look him up. He one of the things that he does. He kind of wants them to sweat a little bit more than usual when he's interviewing them. And so he's from New Mexico, which is known for hot chilies, right?
Yeah.
So he has them chomp on a Carolina Reaper pepper while he's interviewing them. If they want to, of course. It's up to them. But most of them do take the bite. And but he's another one that's really really good at interviewing these guys. He had this one. He had this guy Luis. Look up EYLP Luis Luis.
Hmm.
This guy he had the guy call somebody that was close to him, right? For
Yeah.
some reason, this guy called a family friend. I don't think it was a relative. May have been a cousin or something, but had him call somebody. He calls this woman and he's asking her, "Hey, is this something? Have you ever wondered about this guy? Have you had any worries about this guy or anything?" She says, "Well, yeah, actually, he did it to me." This guy called one of his own victims,
Oh man.
and oh yeah, and it abused this girl and her sister too, and this guy
Oh
had
gosh.
had kids. He had a daughter the same age range. I mean, it was just. And then he ends up running, and they
Mhm.
kind of get into a little boxing match in the parking lot. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I'll have to look them up on YouTube. Like these predators, they can never be helped in life, in my opinion. There's no help for them.
I haven't seen anywhere it's been successful, so I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah, because I remember like when I first started watching Ghosts, like few years ago. he would always offer them like help, professional
Yeah.
help. And I was saying, I was saying, why are you offering them help? One, they'll never take it. They'll lie, say yes, I'll take it. And two, it just won't work. You know,
Correct. Yeah. And the other thing that I've thought about is, even if these people got to the point where they, were able to be open and honest about what they'd done and maybe treated any other like issues they had, whether it was drugs or anything like that. How could you live with yourself knowing the effects of what you've done and how horribly it ruins people's lives? You know,
exactly.
so you've got one or two options at that point. You've got to either continue being who you are and being the bad person, or not live anymore. And some people do take that route. As we've seen. Alex had the guy. I think it was in Missouri who did take his own life. I know PvP had one that did that. The guy we were just talking about, EYLP, he had one that did that as well.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, for some of them, they either don't want to go to prison, or even if you could accept the fact that what you did, how could you live with yourself? I don't know.
Exactly. It boggles my mind, like why they do that. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's anytime you could ruin somebody's life, is terrible. But I can't think of a worse way to do it.
exactly. Tatiana's like the VA is a joke and always has been. Our vets deserve so much better. Insurance should be like any other insurance. Go where you want, when you want, and all the vets' choice.
Yeah, I've said the same for quite a while now. I've said, why don't they just run it like, just let you go where you want? Why have all this bureaucracy and all these facilities to maintain, and all the other junk that goes into it and all the money that's wasted? I can give, if you want to hear a couple of VA horror stories, I'd be glad to share a couple. I
Okay.
I used to live in Hampton, Virginia,
Hmm.
and I went to the Hampton VA, and my neighbor worked at the VA. He was in the maintenance department or whatever. He did facilities maintenance. Well, what he told me was that he oftentimes would go the VA campus. There is a large kind of area, and it has a lot of outbuildings that are kind of old buildings that aren't really used or anything.
Hmm.
He spent a lot of his days just napping in those various outbuildings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean
Mm.
that's typical for what we expect of the VA. But I've said that, yeah, that it should be basically privatized. People should be able to just treat it like insurance, let them go where they want. I have friends that I served with that work for the VA who obviously feel differently, um, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. I don't. I think there's other federal departments they could work for. I don't think we need a jobs program at the expense of veterans health care.
Hmm.
Sorry to hear that, Bryden. That's horrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Brian. I really am.
Yeah, I was when I had my spinal surgery, I was lucky in the sense that I was on vacation with my parents in Washington D.C. And and it had gotten so bad, I was literally screaming in pain one night, and I'd been begging for an MRI. From the Fort Wayne VA is the worst I've ever been to, by the way, Fort Wayne, Indiana. They're the ones that
Hmm.
locked me in a rubber room, and I'd been begging for an MRI for like 2 years. I had this just horrendous neck pain, and it wouldn't go away. The local hospital in my town called me a pill popper. It was just a terrible experience. And finally, I was just screaming in my pain, and my parents took me to the VA, and my mom wouldn't take no for an answer. The ER doc that was there, was basically forced by my mother to give me the MRI, which I did. I could barely sit still for. I was in such pain. And as soon as I got out of it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, this is literally like touch and go. You could either be paralyzed, quadrillized, or dead any minute." So they strapped me to a board with a collar on and took me. The reason they didn't do the surgery right there at that hospital is because now this is in the nation's capital, right?
Yeah.
Washington, D.C., right close to Congress and all the VA headquarters and all that. and all of their emergency rooms operating rooms were shut down for substandard, filthy conditions. All their drugs were out of date and stored improperly. It was really a terrible place to be, but I guess the MRI machine was the only thing that worked there. So I was fortunate enough. They sent me to the Walter Reed Hospital, which is actually state of the art. It's the exact opposite, as it should be. They treat guys that are coming back from horrific combat injuries and everything else. But I was very, very lucky to be able to go there. But it doesn't speak well on the VA that the reason I ended up there is because they couldn't do it because they're so filthy and nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Sister is a vet, has very bad PTSD from working in the morgue at Dover during the height of the war. So nothing is being done. Yeah, self-medicate. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I said I gave up on trying to deal with mental health through the VA, and I have reached out lately, but I said I'm not. I want to do. They do have community care available, so you can kind of do that. But it's a pain in the rear. You've got to sit around and wait on. They have a whole department that's got to sit there and approve your request, and then you got to select, and they have to do all these extra steps. Why not just give me the phone number and let me call them, set up my own appointment? Yeah, agree, Fed Catcher. I think the government sucks at everything that it does, and I have plenty of reasons for believing that.
If anyone has any questions for Ben in the chat, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep an eye on it, but I find that if I try and keep an eye on it too much, then I don't speak that well.
Yeah. Oh no, you're doing great tonight. And thank you again for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me on.
No problem. Like I believe it was a bad guy that told me, like last time you were on here, you said you had an interesting story. So
bad guy. Yeah. I really like Bad Guy too. I've been on lives on his channel a couple times too. I just saw a comment from Ray in the chat there. He said, Ben is such a good guy. Even FCC is being kind of that's Ray. He's a funny guy. I really like that guy.
It is. Fakes like imagine trying to access VA healthcare in rural America.
Oh yeah,
hey,
no.
Bill.
I'm not sure who said that about the rural America, but
Fake Catcher.
Oh, Fake Catcher. Yeah. So that was, I've mentioned the Fort Wayne VA hospital a couple times. I did live in Fort Wayne eventually, but at the time I didn't. Hey, Bill. I actually lived in a small town in Ohio, and there was literally nothing there. And this was back in the sort of early days of community care. If you lived a certain distance from a VA facility, then you could be able to be seen by local doctors and whatever. However, the local doctors weren't very good in this small town either. But yeah, no, it was terrible trying to get services when you live in a rural area. Am I sticking around for a while? Am I taking off again? You mean on this live or?
I think she means overall.
Overall, I mean, yeah, I don't plan on going anywhere, I guess. Actually, I'm contemplating a something right now. I have a friend in Ohio, actually, that he's an accountant. I've worked several tax seasons with him, and I'm currently working a job that I really don't care for. The thing about the tax job is it's only going to be for 10 weeks, and then I'll have to figure out something else. But I think I'm just going to do it because it's not really working well with me just sitting inside all day, doing a job I don't like, and so I'm pretty sure I'm going to do that. So I may be in Ohio for 10 weeks soon. I see a question from Ray there. Would you say calm demeanor is necessary when dealing with depression and anxiety? Yeah, I guess. I don't know that I always have a calm demeanor. I try to. But I deal with, and this is, I guess sometimes it's easier to get into topics through conversation, but I know Terrence had asked about some other sort of problems or whatever, but I've struggled badly with like anger issues, not with other people so much, but with just sort of like
with yourself.
Yeah, just stewing inside so bad, and sometimes I do like have outbursts like vocally, but not. I'm not a violent person at all. I've never attacked anyone ever in my life, actually.
Yeah.
Um, so it's anger though, and there's good anger and there's bad anger. Anger that stews and sits inside you. That's not good.
Well, it's a true saying. You should never keep it balled up on the inside because eventually it'll erupt like a volcano.
Yeah,
And trust me, I know that from experience.
yeah.
Especially with when booze is behind it.
Oh, for sure. Now, one thing I could say is that yeah, booze has definitely not helped out in the relationship department at all.
Hmm.
And it's it's been in most of my relationships, it's been a mutual problem. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I tend to have longer relationships that end badly. I'm not like a serial dater or anything like that.
Mm. Wolfpackers, like sometimes with pain or anxiety, the beast does come out at times.
Yeah, yeah,
It's true. He's right. And
that's very
unfortunately,
true.
there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, and that's again, as time's gone on, I've become, I guess, a little bit. I've definitely developed more anxiety in social situations. I find that I don't really trust anybody um, that I interact with, usually in public.
Trust issues.
But it's interesting. I'm still pretty cordial with people. I mean, any stores that I frequent around my place, most of them probably know me. Remember who I am. I'm always friendly with them.
Hmm.
Um, but the general public, yeah, I don't tend to get along with. Somebody said before that I speak well, and and talking about being able to be calm and have a nice demeanor with people. I guess that goes to my sales training,
Yeah.
where I walk into a stranger's house and sit there for 4 hours and try and get tens of thousands of dollars from them. That's
Hmm.
probably where I developed that skill better than I used to have even.
Wolfpacks like both lead to irritation and sense of keeping away from people as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, having anxiety and depression, it's hard to overcome those.
Yeah, it's crazy how many people deal with it. I forget the statistics on depression, but and depression has a number of different causes. It's not always childhood abuse. Although, again, going back to the video that I saw on Bryden's channel earlier today, that was a really great sort of breakdown of how those things sort of are interconnected.
Yeah. Raves like Ben, I like to say, in a sea of drama and mudslinging, you raise a bar and remind me to try to be better. I hope you stick around, and I love to see you do a catch one day.
That's awesome, Ray. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, no, that makes me feel really good because I do try and uh, interact with people in a way that's positive. It's something that's, even with all that I've been through, it's something that's important to me. I never wanted to be I never wanted to be depressed. I never wanted to be I never wanted to have anxiety. It's kind of like somebody said before, how it sort of, and I can't remember who it was, but how it kind of creeps back up on you.
Hmm.
So it's like a constant like balancing act uh, to be how you want to be, but also then you got to deal with this thing that keeps coming after you.
Yeah. Hey, Damone, thanks for dropping by today. Appreciate it, brother.
Good to see you in here, Damone.
Yep. Feels like Faxer. I've always enjoyed Ben's input.
Yeah, I just saw it too. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate that.
Yeah, like hearing you speak and like the way you carry yourself, we need more people like you in the community. Actually, we really do.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. I want to add something. I don't want to be necessarily just a flamethrower. I don't want to be just a jokester. I'd like to add something, I guess, that adds to the conversation or helps grow people's understanding of something, it's important to me. I try and be helpful. If somebody's asking a question in a chat, or I try and provide an answer instead of make fun of for them for asking the question.
Yeah. Well, hey, Locke, thanks for being here today. I appreciate it. Just like, hey, man, ATC just here. Drop a like and show some love. Much respect. Thank you, Locke. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Locke.
Respect to you, too. Brian's like, yeah, Ben has always been a real one. It's true.
Wow. I don't think it's possible that I garnered this much praise in about an hour and 10 minutes. So I guess people must have felt this way already, and that's good to know. I want to thank you all for your comments. I really appreciate them.
Yeah, fake catchers like Ben's communication style is easy to relate to. It's true.
That's good. Thank you.
As I said, we need more people like you here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's definitely somewhere that I think I fit. It's a weird thing, that not everybody understands at all, and so to be able to interact with others that either have been through it or know somebody who has. I think everybody's probably here for a reason. I don't think there's too many people that just do it because they like to watch Fred squirm, unless they have some sort of emotional attachment to it. Maybe there's some ones like that. They're probably the ones that make the idiotic comments in live streams and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just kind of try and ignore. They do get annoying though, but I think probably most people here have some sort of emotional attachment to the issue at hand of what kind of it's all about, it bothers me when, there are naysayers that say, well, this, ruins real police investigations, or it does this or that or whatever. Clearly, the police do not have this problem under control. Okay. And in many cases, just turn a blind eye to it. I feel bad for anyone that lives in San Diego, and has to deal with that DA that just will not touch these cases at all.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Ghost every time he does a catch there.
Yeah, and PvP as well. That's why I don't know if you watch PvP much, he's pretty much posting everything on Odyssey and Rumble now.
Yeah, can't get Odyssey over here in Canada, unfortunately.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, he's been a favorite of mine as well, and I see that's why I said I'm going to leave somebody out earlier, but I watch all this stuff. He's started going more up towards like Temecula, Riverside County, around there, into LA, just because, and I understand, and I think it was Alex that said one time, you can't just always go to places where we have friendly cops, that does no service to people that live in these other areas, and I agree with that. But as for someone who is a catcher, I can't imagine how disheartening that would be to constantly watch police do nothing as you catch the most vile predators,
Yeah. Like California overall, like they're very screwy over there when it comes to that.
God, there was this catch that Alex had yesterday, and yeah, that's I've really had to control my anger in the chats on the California catches, because every single one there's something that just goes awry, and it's just like, man, California is a whacked out place. This one yesterday, they were confronting this older pred, and he was standing in his doorway. He didn't want to come out at first. He didn't want to talk at all, and Alex managed to hang in there somehow. And as he was interviewing this guy, out comes this Karen from nowhere, talking, and just starts talking over Alex. You're abusing, you're threatening him, blah, 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 blah. And it's, of course, Alex had made no threats at all, He doesn't do that because he builds good cases. That's what he does. But it was just so frustrating. This woman just didn't like the fact that there was an uncomfortable situation going on, and so she was choosing who she saw as the aggressor or something, and meanwhile protecting the pred. It was so aggravating. I mean, if you ever just wanted to like jump through the screen and slap some sense into somebody, man, that Karen was one that needed it.
Yeah, like I remember last time Alex was in California there, he caught this tranny. It was going, Trey was going after a 1-year-old, I believe it was, and he got away
Yeah,
with it.
in Berkeley.
Yeah. You saw that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was pissed.
I
He was
actually,
so.
I was dating this girl. I don't know what's going on. She kind of dropped off. She kind of ghosted me, but I was dating this girl for a while, and she was at my house the day that one came out, and she
Mhm.
had never seen a catch before, and that was the first one. And her jaw hit the floor, and she was like, "Oh my gosh," she could not believe that it was happening, and that this person did that. What was it, like an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 1-year-old?
Yeah, something like that.
Good Lord.
And the trainee got away with it. Like that's how California is over there. Unfortunately, look what happened when Alex and Gil's teamed up to go get EDP. He got away with it.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I lived in Ohio for the longest out of anywhere in my adult life. Actually, I lived there for almost 10 years. There's a lot I liked about Ohio, but man, their laws are really terrible. If you're not a law enforcement agency, they're not going to take your case. And pretty much, if there's not a real victim somewhere, they're all reactionary. This is not the type of crime that we can have reactionary laws with.
Yeah.
Because by the time you have a victim, you have a ruined life. And
Exactly.
I don't care how much, even maybe if somebody was to get therapy right away, but it's never gonna cure that. It's never gonna heal that damage 100%. There's no way. It's it's a terrible thing is to lose your innocence at such a young age.
Exactly. How come you can't say Czerny though, right? But yeah, I want to ask you too. What do you think about the restrictions that YouTube's been laying down on the bread catchers?
Well, I don't know how else to say it other than it's clearly an agenda that they have to take down this community on this platform. Because if it was clearly, or if it was simply about using certain words, or if it was about certain situations, you can look around YouTube and find vile trash all over the place. You can go on, even I was talking to Alex a couple weeks ago on Twitter actually about this YouTube Kids app.
Yeah.
And you can go on YouTube Kids app, and there's all sorts of like grooming type videos, that are on there. And this is on the Kids app. I mean, it's crazy. But the one that Alex mentioned was the dildos versus dicks. You can make a video about that, but God forbid you catch a sick pedophile. So I think the extent to where they've gone to putting strikes on channels, taking videos down. It's a systematic effort to eliminate these kinds of channels from the platform. That's I don't see any other way to see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they've been going after him for over a year now.
Yeah. And
You know,
and Alex has been making this transition to Rumble. In fact, all new live catches now are on Rumble, and I've been a cheerleader for Rumble actually. It's a it's got a lot of growing to do. They have a lot of things they need to work on. However, I think their overall sort of philosophy about it is great. That they're not going to stifle people because they don't like what it says. And I don't know that Alex has had discussions directly with people from that company. I haven't, but I can just go by what I see. And so I've been a big cheerleader for it. The locals app is great on a membership side of things. So I would encourage, if you haven't, to check it out. It doesn't cost anything to get Rumble. The locals is extra, but and this isn't just an advertisement for Alex either. There's many of your favorite catchers are currently on Rumble right now also.
yeah,
I'm following probably 30 or 40 on Rumble now. So it's probably probably in a year's time, I think pretty much most catches will be on Rumble. That's my prediction. I don't know, but yeah, it's sad to see what's going on with this platform, just because it is it does have a large number of viewers, and you know, it's great for getting the word out there. But if they want to shut it down, I guess there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's their platform.
Yeah, like YouTube is more user friendly, but in my opinion, Rumble is the way of the future.
Yeah, and like I say, I think it will get better. That's another reason why I cheerlead for that app, because the more people that go there, the better it will get. You know, they'll
Yeah,
be able to hire more software engineers. They'll be able to get more coders. You know, whatever they need to make those improvements. I'm sure it's an overwhelming task. I actually found out that their headquarters is here in my town, so that's kind of cool too.
hmm Jules, can you plug Alex's Rumble channel and please and thank you. Oh, and locals too. Justine's like, I love Rumble as long as I can see my catchers. Um, do you watch any of the decoy channels or?
Yeah. So I've definitely seen Tikoi's work. I've watched APP. I've seen on Alex's channel, I've seen Nikki on there is just absolutely great. And I've watched PCI, PCM. I've watched some of their decoy live streams as well. Trying to think of any other ones.
OPE.
Which one?
OPE, Tech and Salmon.
I don't believe I've seen them. No.
Jules, can you plug their channel too, please? That way, Bing could subscribe if he wants to. Thank you. And
Well,
thanks
and
for.
maybe too, Terrence, if you could maybe send it to me on a DM or something, because
Okay, I could do that.
yeah, I don't want to click out of here at the moment.
Yeah, don't worry about that, Jules. I'll DM that on IG after. No, thanks for a compliment, Matt. Appreciate it. Yeah, they're
I'm
very
sorry.
good at what they do.
Yeah, that's great. I'd love to check it out. I saw another nice comment from Damone in there as well. He says, "We don't deserve Ray, and we don't deserve Ben." Facts. Thanks, Damone.
Ray's like, TC's much better than me at shutting the fuck up. Free talk, fellas. Thanks for compliment, Ray. Appreciate it. Ray's a good dude.
One thing about myself, sometimes when I get talking, I have a hard time shutting up. Sometimes I feel like I talk too much, so I try and watch that. But I figured it was appropriate in this case, so I just let it go.
Well, I'm a very good listener, so.
Well, that's true. You are.
Yeah. So that's why I don't talk much. I just let the person tell their story, you know. Thank you, Jules. Appreciate it. Yeah, like all the I listen to so many decoy calls. It's just I've become so numb to it now.
Right. I haven't watched that many, so I'm still to the point where I'm like, sometimes I'm still just shocked. I mean, sometimes you'll hear catchers read off the comments, on the catch, and it's like, okay, but it's totally different hearing them say, just this disgusting, sometimes not even gross comments, sometimes just the grooming stuff, just the it's just terrible.
Yeah. Like just hearing them talk and then when they eventually get caught and they will say, well, this is my first time, when we know it's not,
Right. Yeah, no, on the Alex's Rumble channel, Nikki has been doing some decoy calls with what we're calling the Bible Thumper Pred. And just terrible. And I can't wait, and it's totally different when you hear the calls and you see some of the text before you see the catch. You know what I mean? I think it definitely gets you more invested sort of emotionally in the catch as well.
Yeah, like when bad grandpa was being decoyed there by WAP there, and then Alex caught him. It was very, I took personal interest in that because I heard all his phone calls and he's so repulsive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's shocking. And even for me, having lived through, abusers and I mean, I've seen it all. Okay. And I'm still just disgusted by it. It's like, how can you actually really do that? And then to hear people say, "Oh, I knew it wasn't a real kid or whatever." No, Nobody would believe that, having heard that conversation. Okay, nobody is
Yeah.
going to believe it.
And I remember too a few times, a few Preds that got caught, they blamed booze. They said, oh, they were drunk. And that pissed me off personally too, because, all times I've been drunk like that, not once have I ever done anything like that, It's called having common sense.
I've done some stupid shit when I was drunk. Absolutely. Three DUI convictions says that I've done some stupid shit. But
Mm.
yeah, I never reached out to a kid. Never once.
Yeah, like I'll give you OPE's link after. They're very good at what they do. They're one of the best.
Yeah, I would definitely love to hear it.
Yeah.
You said a couple of people that do that?
Yeah, it's Sammy, she's the main decoy, and then her boyfriend, Tech, he does all the other stuff behind the scenes.
Okay, Tech I've heard of. I think I maybe have been on like a lock panel or something with Tech before.
Yeah. They're very good at what they do.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out. Oh, and another one that I've seen do some decoy calls is Courtney Elizabeth.
She's very good, and she's a great catcher.
Yeah, absolutely. I love her catches too. Yeah, I think she has a really great format of how she like edits her catches together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're very, very, very well put together.
APP is another great decoy. Sabrina,
Absolutely.
she's very good at what she does.
Yeah, I've got APP followed on everything pretty much. I think
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere.
Yeah. She's very good at what she does, and she's extremely passionate. Jules is, I believe, I'm following a bit. I'm going to look.
Oh, for IG?
Yeah.
I found that my IG update's really slow, so I don't see it yet. But also find that my phone is dying. There we go. Oh, yep, got it. Oh yeah, I think we were. I think I was already following her actually. I didn't realize the slight name difference there.
Hey, Constantine, thanks for being here, brother. Appreciate it. Exos, Jaime's another great decoy.
That's doing work for CC Unit, right?
Yeah, for Ghosts.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I just saw that name somewhere recently.
Yeah, she's on one of my panels before. It's very rare she does them, but she went on mine, and I was very thankful that she did that.
Yeah,
She's a very good decoy too. She does both boy and girl when she does decoy. I think she's the only one that does that. Not sure.
Huh. Yeah, that's well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, kids sound like kids,
Yeah.
It's yeah. I was just thinking of something else too. I forget what I was gonna say. We were on. I saw that. Yeah, Jules got me on Instagram. Jules, if you're not, you should follow my cat's Instagram also. That's Frank. It's linked on my bio. Anybody can follow my cat though.
Yeah. With the decoys, they don't get enough credit in my opinion. They really don't.
No, I agree 100%. Yeah, that's definitely. I like to show support to them as well. If I'm in a chats on decoy calls, whatever, I like to let them know that it's appreciated, and because it's. I mean, like you say, I guess some people can maybe get used to it, but at the same time, I've heard about some decoys who have really struggled with some of them, who've brought back either bad memories from their own life or just whatever, and yeah, that totally makes sense because it's some pretty rotten stuff that's being talked about.
Yeah. He Lisa's got the Instagram page there.
Oh yeah, there it is.
But yeah,
Yeah.
after we're done the interview, I'll DM you OPE's YouTube channel there.
Yeah,
Ray's
that'd
like,
be great.
alcohol will only cause me to do what I truly desire to do, bruise my conscience, and doesn't make me crave depraved shit.
Yeah, precisely. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
For me, booze was always more of it always made me more depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that, like I say anymore these days, I'll go days without, and then, usually though, it ends up kind of in a bad place. But usually though, if I do drink, it's because I'm trying to drown something.
Yeah, and I've been there. So again, if you ever want to quit, just hit me up and I'll try to help you quit.
Thanks a lot, Terrence. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Because I drank for 25 years, so
Yeah, I got probably a couple more than that actually.
well, you went longer.
Well, let's see. I'm 43 now. Probably was
Oh,
about.
you're older.
Yeah, I was probably about 12 when I started. So
Oh shit! So you were 2 years younger than me when you started.
maybe 11. Yeah, I might have been 11 when I started. 11 or 12.
2 or 3. Hey, Toke, how's it going? Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
But I
Yeah,
guess like say you use it to cope or to to numb or whatever it is. But I guess that it did keep me sort of numbed, I guess, for many years. And it's gotten to the point where a lot of times, and the reason why I've been able to not drink every day anymore is because I've started to get to the point where it grosses me out, actually.
yeah,
And so that's like I don't know, for me that's the sort of the driving force to want to change things.
yeah. Can I ask you this though? What does drinking solve?
Right.
It solves nothing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the chats here. I see Ray talking about Marlboro. That's one thing I did give up was cigarettes. Now I haven't gotten rid of the vape device yet, but I gave up cigarettes almost 3 years ago, actually.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, that one I feel pretty good about that, actually.
Mm. That's a real good accomplishment there.
Yeah, like a lot of people tell me, the vape's no better, and I and I can say that, hey, yeah, it's still nicotine. It's probably not good for you, but I can give you a lot of reasons why it's better than cigarettes. A lot.
Yeah. Well, about to end it here for the evening. Thank you again for being here tonight, Ben. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on, and thank you everyone for in the chats for being here and all
Oh
the
wait,
good things that people have said.
yeah. Ray has a comment here or a question.
Oh my God, that man. I'm just gonna leave that one alone. I don't even know. I don't even know how to reply to that. Yeesh.
Jeez, Ray. But yeah, in all honesty, though, thank you for being here tonight, Ben. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely, like I say, I didn't have your channel subscribed before, so I'm gonna check out. There's probably been some other stuff I've missed. I don't know what all you've got up there, but I will definitely check out and see. And
Thank you.
it's been really great to talk with you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I did like a few addiction episodes and
Okay,
some other
yeah,
stuff too.
I'll definitely take a
and
look at
some,
that.
yeah, and did some like interviews and stuff. Yeah, so that's why I said, yo, if you ever need help coordinating, just hit me up and I'll try my hardest to help you.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Ray's like, I'm going to interview Ben. Come see what TC did, but way better.
You're on, Ray. And also, I got, and not to, Smashley and I have talked about doing a similar thing before too, and it just hasn't happened yet. But it's not that I forgot about you, Smashley. If you're still out there, we'll figure it out.
You're welcome, Jules. Yeah. By the way, everybody, Bill will be going live at 9 p.m. tonight, so I want everyone to tune in and see the Naked One himself.
Is that going to be, which channel is that?
Pulling the strings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jules, can you plug Bill's channel too, please, since he's going live at 9?
I've got that one subbed already.
Yeah.
And that's Bill. Is that, because there's Bill Evans, but then is that a different Bill?
Yeah, this is Bill Powell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it, brother. And thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Yeah, Jules is he's pulling the strings. He's the guy that's always naked. He lives outdoors.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that doesn't work with most of society, but yeah, if you're
Yeah. Ray's like Bill Owens is like Brandy. Bill Powell is like still Matty.
Oh, that makes it a lot clearer. Thanks for the analogy, Ray.
There's Bill's channel right there for everyone. Tune in for him at 9. Again, he'll be live at 9 p.m. tonight, everyone. So please tune into him. And it's required for everyone to be naked during his stream tonight. He would really appreciate that. And thank you again, Ben. It was like we got Bill Powell, Bill Evans, Bill Gangbang. Oh, there he is right here. Society with the middle finger.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to check that out.
Bill, will this be a naked stream tonight? Hopefully he answers. But yeah, Bill's going live at 9 tonight, so everyone please tune into him. See see what he'll be up to. Oh, duh. Jules like already closed Ben off for a hot minute waiting on Bill's stream. It's always a stay naked stream. Yeah, so he'll be live in 22 minutes, everybody. So again, thank you, Ben, so much for being here. I really do appreciate it, and thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, tune in to Bill tonight at 9 p.m. and it'll be a naked stream, no clothes required, as Jules just said. And everyone have a great night and peace. Have a good night, Ben.
Good night.
All right. Peace, everybody.